Okay, AJ, it looks better than what we talked about on the last video lesson. I just want to encourage you to continue to work on something, and kind of the video that I've been using has been Joey Votto here on the right-hand side. I used it with the ninth grader. I just used it one with Joey Daniels. It's just a really good illustration of loading back hip and maintaining it. So as I was watching your 5 swings here that we got on film, we see the same thing where you rock into hip load, and that's not a bad hip load right there. As we kind of zoom in, right, you're in a pretty decent spot there. Now, Joey Votto doesn't so much rock into hip load as it's just kind of, oops, let me get my arrow. He just kind of sits into it. He doesn't get into his leg. He gets into his hip, but you can see how he really pinches that back hip right there. You've got a negative movement into it, which is fine. But then what happens is we're losing our back hip load and we're throwing off of our timing. So as you pick your foot up, all of a sudden we lose our whole load right there. As we watch a couple of pieces here, as we watch our back foot, okay, you can see we really get our weight transferred to the back part of our foot, and we can see how our foot even rotates, how our foot is rotating because we're getting the weight onto the back part of our foot. We want everything on the inside here so that we can get it going forward. Because again, as we always say, we load our backside to get off of our backside. So as I was watching you load, you get the foot turn out because we're getting the weight on the outside part of our foot. And then we're good hip load there, but then we climb out of it. And as we climb out of it, let me zoom out a little bit. The stuff that we talked about before, you can see as you're coming down there, how we've lost our back hip load. This has started to come. We flopped weight here. We've started to open up. Whereas with Joey Votto, and I understand it's not realistic to compare ourselves to major leaguers, but I just wanted to give you, a visual. I've got up on our Google site some other guys loading their back hip. He sits in the back hip load, and you can see, let me get in a good spot to roll my finger here. Sits in the back hip load. See how he maintains that hip load all the way into the ground. Now, let me clear out all this garbage. Let me get my thumb back here. Hip load, hip unload. Hip load, hip unload. Again, we're seeing this turn, this go, this go, this go. I'm sorry, not our knee. We get hip, and now we get into our leg. See how we get going up? Whereas Votto gets into his hip, and it's just forward. So your movement starts out real good, AJ. Hip load now. From right there, go, 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 right? Just like Joey Votto sits into hip load, and even as he's sitting into hip load, now watch. Go, go, go. See how he goes? Whereas from your hip load, see how we get up into our leg? And now, by the time we're getting to toe touch, we've lost our hip load. Weights come here. This has started to open up. Our back knee has started to come in. Versus Votto, who's into the ground, and his first movement forward is that immediate preparation there. Okay? So it's better than we saw it last time on film, but I encourage you to just keep working and dry rep it on your own. Once you get to there, just forward, forward, forward. And you can dry rep this a million times. You're athletic enough to do this for sure. Feel. I get that back hip pinched, right? Because you definitely have your back hip pinched there just like he does. Then once you feel that back hip pinch, don't get out of it by going up, right? Maintain that hip pinch as you go forward like Votto, and it doesn't rotate until it's heel down. Instead of getting that upward climb there where we start to come in a little bit early. It looks better than before, but that movement is still there that needs to be corrected. And that's why I wanted to put a major leaguer so you could practice on your own. Load my back hip, travel with my back hip loaded until my heel slams into the ground. Back hip loaded, now go, 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 not up. Take that part out there, because now we lose it and we end up, you're working good towards, I like that part a lot, but you can see how inefficient landing there is, how it sets us more up to be around. We're going to be slower to the fastball. We're going to jump out at curveballs, whereas that is a much more loaded position to go from than that. And that's why I'm just being so adamant that we take our initial good back hip load, take out the movement where we see our foot go back, our hip climb, and then a little premature open there. Okay? So it definitely looks better than last time. Just wanted to provide some guidance for some stuff that you can work towards moving forward. Okay?